Konbanwa, o genki desu ka? Ken's Corner! If you had not guessed, this is Ken's Corner. I am here with my good friend Ken Smith. How are you doing tonight, Ken?
I'm doing even better now. Give you a salute. That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
For those unaware, tonight, Ken is going to do a Tobi Ushiro Kagagiri, a jumping, spinning hook kick straight to the misinformation and biased media's throat.
So you can.
Hiya.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Big time.
So we're going to begin this week with talking a little bit about your shirt.
Yes, it's one of my shirts that my wife got me. She works for a rescue, and so it's Free Dogs. Let me go down a little bit, and it's just it's a picture of a pit bull. So we have a little pit bull ourselves. Remember my famous pit bull? So I have tons of dog shirts. So I think I'm gonna wear dog shirts for the next couple of weeks. But that's it.
They are man's best friend.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So
I want to begin with a comment that we received last week. Excuse me. From RN Tough, we have this comment. I don't get it. Zelensky is a monster for not pursuing peace. I do recall Zelensky pursuing peace before the Russian invasion. If America was invaded, would we be expected to pursue peace by giving up Texas? I don't think so. We would fight to the end. Why is Zelensky a monster for doing what America would do? Well, I would like to answer this question, if I may, and Ken, jump in here anytime you'd like. But I seem to recall there was this war that everybody demonized Iran for sending their little children with wooden AK-47s into minefields because they had run out of regular age soldiers. I seem to recall kamikaze pilots, both old and young, and the militarization of civilians in Imperial Japan to fight off the American invasion of the home islands. I also remember Hitler's order to conscript old men and young boys to shoot bazookas at Russian tanks during the siege of Berlin. And when you get to a point in war where you're conscripting your young and you're old, you are no longer being a leader that is seeing to the preservation of your people, but rather exploiting them for your own personal gain. And that is why you're a monster. I believe you said it best, Ken. We don't think that Putin is some kind of angel, and we certainly aren't rooting for sides in this. But that being said, there is atrocities of Ukrainians dying by the thousands and fleeing the country by the hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. Yep.
And furthermore, they're being rounded up in countries they fled to come back and fight.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we've crossed that line where we can say that Zelensky is such a cool guy. He's an actor. No, he's monstrous. Let's call it the way it is. And we can easily call Putin monstrous, but we have to call Zelensky monstrous, and we have to call the United States of America monstrous for continuing to fund it.
Yeah, the whole West. You can see Poland kind of backing off. You can see some of the West that's getting it kind of right now, and they're backing off. They're just like, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. They can see it. They're rational. Yep.
Can you have some comments for this week?
Yeah, and remember, like, share, subscribe to Moriel. That way YouTube will push this message out. So that's how that's how the algorithms work. I got 3 super short comments. One from Matt.24, question: when is Ken's Corner going to become a live stream chat format? I saw you commented on that too. Yeah, I don't know about that. But and then another comment from Blarney Fife: Ken and Jay, the 6-shooter duo, always right on target, shooting from the hip. Keep up the good work, my brothers. And from Big Whale, Thanks for all you do. And I just want to do a shout out real quick to the regulars. Waiting for his return, Jenny B, PJ Fontaine, Elaine Bryson, Truth Watch, Martin Wilmabor, Maxine Mahaney, 777, Aleph Vitav, and Anna M. And then also, we answered Greg Michelson's question. He actually commented again. Remember the QAnon question that we answered? He actually commented again and said, hey, I listened to you guys, blah, blah, blah. So I want to say a shout out to him. All right. You get respect. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And we love reading your comments. We love interacting with you. And if we were any other podcast, we would probably say, go to Patreon, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah. No. Nope. Yeah.
I guess I'm taking the lead on this one because I have a story to tell.
It's First all you.
I'd like to thank Mia. For those who know Moriel Mia, she is a hero that comes from Canada. She brought this story to my attention, so I really want to go in depth about it. It's the Million Man March in Canada. So to begin with, I want to showcase something that has been glaring in my eye lately. I have two images that I'd like to show you. The first image is an article from Yahoo. And if you look, Imani Walker writes, an attack on their autonomy or safeguarding kids. What happened at the 1 million march and the counter protests across Canada? Now, this first sentence is very important, and we'll come back to it. Hundreds of demonstrators across Canada took to the street to protest LGBTQ2S plus RPISG, inclusive education, in-school curriculums, and they were met with thousands of counter-protesters advocating the rights of queer people. Now, I want to point out the language is hundreds of demonstrators, so they're the minority, and thousands of counter-protesters. Now, on the same day, there was another article that came out from Fox News. I want to read that one to you. Thousands protest gender ideology in Canada. Trudeau condemns transphobia, homophobia, and biphobia. Chris Pandolfo. Thousands of demonstrators gathered in cities across Canada on Wednesday as a conservative movement against gender ideology in schools was confronted by pro-LGBTQ protesters. All right. So this is what really makes me mad. Yahoo says 100. Fox says 1,000. We have two articles that present two sets of facts. So my question to our viewers is, where's the truth? How can you even discern what the truth is when there's one set of truth for one political side and one set of truth for the other side? It's impossible. At that point, there can be no discussion because you have two sets of facts. Just to get into this a little bit more, we have a video. So let me grab that video.
Well, there's a lot of people here from the different unions that have come out, and they are standing against parents' rights. So as a parent myself, I'm here to stand for my children.
What do you make of union leaders, union representatives standing shoulder to shoulder with violent Antifa activists?
I think it's crazy, but I'm really not all that surprised. I've been a part of the CUPE union before. I used to be an employee at the school board. I know how it works. When the government and these institutions want to control the people and have them, listen to their every word and demand, they go from the top down, and they go and they speak to these unions because they're able to be controlled through money. And they put out messaging to their staff members saying, basically, if you don't come in line with us and you don't stand with us, then, you're basically scabbing the union line. And, people are intimidated into taking this stance.
Before we start the next clip, I'm going to go ahead and comment. So, Ken, this is what really irritates me. According to this parent who is a former union member, if you do not join the line to basically counter-protest, you're blackmailed. So suddenly you're living the revenue that keeps you alive is placed in jeopardy if you don't accept a political ideology. Well,
Yep.
you've basically bought that person when they become part of that union. Then
Yeah. That's all the unions are anymore. They're just bought people.
that's a scary world.
It's a scary world. Yep.
It's a very scary world. So let's continue. I want to continue this video, and I want you to understand who they think these parents are.
In terms of Ottawa, we have just planned a counter protest starting at 9 a.m. on the Supreme Court of Canada lawn. We chose this location because it's just adjacent to where they were building, and we are not in the business of defending the state from fascists. We are in the business of protecting communities and each other to ensure that the hate does not go unopposed in the streets. This is absolutely crucial that we oppose this in the streets.
Comment real quick about this. It seems to me, Ken, that
did she say fascist?
she said fascist. When you cross that line to describe your opposition, your political opposition, your protesting opposition as fascists, there is no chance for a discussion. There is no chance for a peaceful outcome. These are violent words. These are intimidation words. These words cause violence. You want to talk about not giving anyone a safe space? These are words that do that. Now I'm going to go to the second part. This is even crazier, Ken. Listen to this guy.
I'm with the Peterborough and Kawarthas United Against Hate. We are an anti-hate network that's done 8 defenses of drag queen story time. We've been under attack by Save Canada, by Kevin Boudreau, by organized Nazis with Confederate flags. So we have some experience and some knowledge in this also, like you do in Ottawa. And in many ways, you're our inspiration.
I'm no historian, but I don't recall the Confederacy ever being in Canada. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, if you were a slave in the South during slavery times, if you made it to Canada, you were free.
You're free. Yep. No Confederate flag up there.
I don't understand. How did the Confederates get up there? Did they lose in 1865 and decide, hey, we all want to be Canucks?
Canada. Oh man.
But one thing I'd like to say, that even in the let's call it the socialist communist camp, we can still see that love can blossom.
It's also, like you do in Ottawa, and in many ways, you're our inspiration.
You're the meaning of my life. You're the inspiration.
So there's a happy couple that will have a wonderful marriage.
Oh, yeah.
So parents who want to basically have their kids not be indoctrinated by LGBTQ2 plus SRIP XYZ, they are fascists, they're Confederates, they're Nazis. And I want to talk a little bit about Godwin's law. Godwin's law states the first people to go to the Nazi argument have already lost the argument. And then there's also a concept called reductio ad Hitlerum, and it's basically naming someone a Nazi to make sure that you win your argument. And that seems to be their main goal. This next video that I'd like to play, it's really there's a bigger topic that we need to talk about.
I know I've got 3 kids myself who are currently in the K-12 system who identify as trans, and I know as an employee of the school board that there are a lot of gaps there. And so we're making sure that we're saying we're going to occupy their space. There is no possible way that we could stop them from walking around us to get to the school board building, but that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to basically diffuse and to take control of the messaging and to make sure that if there is going to be the press there that day, it is going to be about positive messaging about people who are allies and making sure that there's an understanding that it's not just all negative. And our hope is that we're going to we're actually going to steal a couple of their tactics in that when they are gathering for their tailgate party in the mall parking lot, we've got a couple of seasoned activists who've already said that they're willing to go over and take some pictures of license plates and these are people who are willing to do this.
We have a few seasoned activists. I don't know, Antifa maybe, that are willing to take pictures of license plates. I mean, that kind of rubs me the wrong way that a civilian group can go and basically find out and do, a background check, find out where people live, and possibly come and do some retaliation for having, a political or religious ideology. That seems, I just wonder, do people like this really understand what they sound like, Ken? Because
no, they don't.
They kind of sound like
Hans, are we the baddies?
I mean, if they're going to call us Nazis, maybe we should, I don't know, return the favor at some point. Next, we're going to kind of look at these small protests that, according to the first article, hundreds of people showed up to. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we have Calgary. Seems like there's a few more than 1,000.
Yeah.
Seems a few more than 100. First, we're going to talk about this. Who's leading this?
All right, we're here in Toronto for the Million-Person March for Children. Toronto is just one of the stops of many across the country where parents have gathered to oppose radical gender ideology in classrooms. There has to be at least 2,000 people here opposing gender ideology in class with a single and clear message: leave our kids alone.
Ken, this is the part of where I'm just going to go off a little bit about why. It's very sad what's going on in Canada today.
Yeah.
The church is so weakened in Canada today and so utterly asleep and in a coma that Islam is fighting for the basic decency that the Bible says and the values we should have.
Yeah.
The fake denominational Christianity falls over themselves, trying to pose for the cameras of tolerance and publicity.
Yeah, one minister was there to counter protests, and that just shows you what they know about the Bible, and she was just with the counter protesters, so pro LGBTQ, and just you have a lot of Protestantism, Methodism, and all this,
And this is the majority of where Christianity is going, which is the scary part, because when that salt and light no longer is salt and light, what is it good for?
Nothing. It's just, you see, Matthew 7:21 or 20, Lord, I did this, I did that. And it says, I never knew you.
Yep.
I never knew you. Yep.
The call to arms that the Muslims have come together is leave our kids alone. Meanwhile, Christians around Canada are joining with the Muslims, the ones that are awake, for some kind of political ecumenical solution, and it just is not going to work.
Well, there was an I didn't say this in the pre-show, but one of the reporters that reported from the ground that the noticeable number of children was present with the pro-family side, and very few children was present with the LGBTQ side. So that's just I
mean, isn't that just basic math and basic biology at some point?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
You mentioned something that blows my mind. This is the world's largest Muslim protest.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's just So
you also mentioned what did the premier what's his name Justin Trudeau say about it?
Trudeau denounced the march as hateful.
Wait. So you're saying that Justin Trudeau says that Muslims are hateful?
Yeah, and he was celebrating Eid with I knew he had rainbow colored socks on, and he was taught he was I knew it was going to clash at some point. I think that was about 3 years ago. He had rain, and he goes, he was celebrating the end of a Muslim holiday in a gay march. I was like, dude, you can't put those two together, man. If anybody's going to be solid about their faith, it's going to be, and about LGBTQ stuff, it's going to be Muslims. So yeah, they don't have to kowtow to anybody. So yeah.
Incredible. And I don't know how he has not been brought up on charges for hate himself.
Yep.
How dare he call Muslims hateful?
Right. Yeah, that's it. Wow. Oh man.
And that is what I have for you for the Canadian Leave Our Kids Alone protests.
Yes. It's my turn to go off.
Yes, you have a prophetic headline. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So it's a straight up prophetic headline. EU chief says public who refuse WEF digital IDs will be excluded from society. And that is about as prophetic. I got Revelation 13, 16 through 18. And he causes all the small and the great and the rich and the poor and the free men and the slaves to be given a mark on the right hand or their forehead. And he provides that no one will be able to buy or sell except the one who has the mark, either by the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has the understanding calculate the number of the beast, for the number is that of a man, and his number is 666. So this is European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and the G20 summit session was dubbed "Our Future," is what they called it. But she appealed for an international regulatory body for artificial intelligence and digital ID systems similar to coronavirus vaccine passports. Von der Leyen proclaimed our collective future to be digital. And this reminds me, I'm going to do another verse here. This reminds me of when Caiaphas predicted Jesus' death, when it was prophetic. So in John 11, 49 through 52, but one of them, Caiaphas, who was a high priest that year, said to them, you know nothing at all, nor do you take into account that if it is expedient for you that one man die for the people and that the whole nation not perish. Wow. How he did not say this on his own initiative, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but in order that he might also gather together into one the children of God who are scattered abroad. So she also stressed that the global acceptance standards must be created under the preview of the United Nations. So concurrently, she championed the concept of digital public infrastructure similar to the coronavirus passport system. And that was a system developed by the EU. The WHO embraced the system with open arms as a global standard. So we can see the tremendous nudge towards an acceptance of the beast system. It's God's timing, but it's coming. But we can see that just they're pushing it. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and at a certain point you have to ask yourself the question: are they really reading the Bible to be the architects of this Antichrist future, or is it like something spiritual in their mind that they've never read the Bible? They're just building it like under some kind of demonic possession of their mind and imagination.
It's a demonic possession. Because they can't see anything. I mean, you talk to them, they'll shut you off if you start talking about biblical prophecy or anything. They'll think you're crazy. And then things happen, things have happened throughout the years, and there's a lot more prophecies going to come true. A lot more. The whole book of Revelation.
It's just mind-boggling that they're not self-aware of what they're doing.
Nope. Well, you look at their issue with the trans thing and all this other stuff. They're not. They're actually reprobate. It's a mind that's it's a reprobate mind. Yeah, they've been given over. God gives them over to a reprobate mind. Yeah, it's crazy.
talking about a person who absolutely is not a reprobate.
Nope.
Ed Dowd.
Yep.
Talk to me about what the latest Ed Dowd is saying.
So from an interview with Naomi Wolf, it was a really short interview, and Ed Dowd made a chilling prediction on it that the COVID.
Let's talk a little bit about another trend that is happening. You know, lots of trends on YouTube, but also there's a huge trend towards a cashless society that goes right along with those digital IDs that Vanderlyn wants.
Yeah.
100 nations want digital currencies.
Yeah, they're exploring. 100 nations exploring digital currencies. When the Antichrist comes onto the scene, he's going to gain a foothold of this global power. The beginning strategy of this power grab will be at first gaining control of the world economy, right? After all, it's a lot faster and easier to gain economic control with all the means that are available today than it is to achieve military or political power. All right. Once you have economic control, you control people's lives, and then you can take them over politically and militarily as well. So as I read earlier in Revelation 13, the Antichrist will have iron fist control over all buying and selling. Cashless society will be required. And that's what we see today developing in our new world of cashless society on steroids. Remember, I talked about the FedNow service about 2 weeks ago, right? So the FedNow service is a portal created by the Federal Reserve, which permits financial institutions to exchange funds digitally in real time. And here's a quote from CoinDesk, published an article. It said this: If FedNow does indeed become a programmable CBDC, then it could theoretically be used to block payments for items the government doesn't favor, or to cut out people from the financial system who are seen as threatening in some way to governing authorities. In other words, political opponents. That's crazy. In that situation, things could get dystopian really quick. Of course, the dystopian government we know from Scripture is the rule and reign of the global empire economic system of the coming Antichrist. This is moving forward at dramatic speed. FedNow seems to be the infrastructure or platform that can easily be used when a central bank digital currency is brought online. At a recent WF event, economists bragged about how CBDCs can be used to limit your purchase of what bureaucrats happen not to like. That's where this is headed. And they're not even hiding it anymore. 100 nations are now exploring CBDC. 12 central banks have pilot programs for digital currencies, and the EU already has a digital euro. The problem with CBDCs is that they are programmable, traceable, expirable, and controllable by the government. For example, if a person goes to a gas station and they have a central bank digital currency, it can be determined how much money you're allowed to spend on gasoline. You traveled too far or whatever. That is how they will control the environmental agenda that we see taking place. China is doubling down on CBDCs with the aim of controlling its population even more. The goal is the total elimination of all physical forms of currency. The trend towards a cashless society is inevitable. All these trends are a striking foreshadow of what I read in Revelation 13. It's just another flashing light that the coming of Christ is near. It is very powerful confirmation and validation of the truth of the Bible. Think about John writing this, writing Revelation 2,000 years ago. No one can buy or sell in the world without the mark of the beast. He wrote that 2,000 years ago. It wasn't even possible 100 or 50 years ago, but it's possible with technology we see today. Just another validation of the inspired word of God, how trustworthy it is, and we can believe it for all the prophecies that are unfulfilled as well. So it'll be 100% fulfilled.
So unless you take their digital currency mark, you'll be unable to buy or sell.
Yeah. Just the two articles that related. The EU article with von der Leyen and then this article, it's crazy.
And then on top of that, perhaps if you don't accept Elon Musk's Neuralink, you might not also be able to buy or sell or even get on the internet. Interesting thing you said that this week.
Yeah. Elon Musk Neuralink, looking for people to trial its brain computer chip. So it's looking for people, they're looking for people to test out their brain computer. Elon Musk's neurotechnology company Neuralink has opened the application process for people who want to be implanted with its brain computer interface device, despite criticism of its safety. And I don't know if you saw the deadly animal test. People still want it. But last December it was reported that 1,500 animals have died as a result of Neuralink tests since 2018. 1,500. Nonetheless, Neuralink announced that it had obtained FDA clearance. 1,500 animals died. Hey, give me clearance.
That's good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Its first clinical human trial. The trial will last about 6 years. The review board is allowed to be tested are people suffering from paralysis, from cervical spinal cord injuries, also some applicants that are suffering ALS. But I think it would be funny if every applicant they purchased a Tesla afterwards. That'd be funny. Just joking.
By the way, we have a clip of the latest human trials in Neuralink real quick.
Hit me.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Not
Oh
sure. Not sure I want to install that in my brain.
no. Oh
Talking about using like a centralized intelligence agency, the Ukrainians bombed a Russian base.
yeah. Well, they bombed the military offices. Russian several high ranking military officers. Um, yeah, they I I don't know. They're pushing for war. They're actually suicidal. I think the 25, like I said, the 2025 Deagle report I mentioned sometime back is from a nuclear attack. But then again, it could be from real viruses released on it. Who knows? I'll just be here waiting for return of Jesus. Anyway, so Russian Black Sea Fleet headquarters. All right, this is the Black Sea Fleet headquarters hit by a Scalp missile, and Ukraine admits West involved in targeting. All right, so this is kind of inside intel. Two French supplied Scalp cruise missiles slammed into Russia Black Sea naval headquarters on Crimea. They could have been British supplied short Storm Shadow missiles too. Several high-ranking Russian military officials were reportedly killed, and the building in Sevastopol is split in half. The Russians said that only one were dead. One was dead. So who knows? But the whole building was destroyed. There's a fury in Moscow with leading Russian government officials saying it's time for an ultimatum to the West. The rockets penetrated several floors, tearing the building in half. The attack sparked outrage in Russia as it comes on the heels of a double strike against the Kilo class amphibious assault ship and submarine that they got their two ships hit. The Kiev, a quote, here's a quote. The Kiev regime, investigated and pushed by the collective West, will not stop escalating the military conflict with Russia, each time raising its level and crossing any red lines again and again, one Russian official said. Kiev has confirmed Western allies participated in the attack. An American P-8A Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft was patrolling over Romania during the attack, and earlier a U.S. RQ-4B Global Hawk reconnaissance drone was spotted in the area. Russian state television reported it's time to deliver an ultimatum in its harshest form, not only to Kiev, but also to the patrons in NATO. The attack comes one day after 50 missile attack against a NATO-supplied facility in Ukraine. I see more escalation coming fast. The U.S. will simply will supply advanced ATACMS missiles very soon, and word comes from the Pentagon saying M1A1 Abrams tanks will arrive in Ukraine shortly. Both systems were previously said to be not on the table for Ukraine, and now they both are on the way. This is a gigantic escalation by the West against Russia. So get your popcorn out. A Ukrainian Air Force commander has now claimed responsibility for the missile strike, writing on Telegram, "We promised there will be more." So if they're feeling suicidal, bring it on. So, but I'm looking at it in a reality base, and they're just not right in their heads.
The Ukrainians want to escalate, but again, we talked about it earlier. They can only escalate with the help of the West, which means that at some point, this is going to be a really hot war where you have NATO against Russia.
Yeah.
And just in time,
yes,
for fall curriculum, they want to hire a new superintendent to the Ukrainian schools as they're being rebuilt.
Yes. So Zelensky asked, Marina Abramovic to be ambassador for Ukraine. she'll lend her voice to help rebuild the schools in the country. And if you remember all the funky art that she was seeing in her relationship with the Podestas, you guys talked a little bit about this in catching up, but also all the rumors with the Pizzagate scandal and all the Comet ping pong and all that. But there are many disturbing photographs online that you can see Abramovic, and she has pictures with elites, celebrities, politicians, but remember the spirit cooking. It's just bizarre. Anyone seen have you seen the crazy artwork in Tony Podesta's house? Yeah. And of course, John Podesta was Bill Clinton, his brother was Bill Clinton's White House chief of staff and Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign manager. Anyway, of all the people to choose, right? I just think the world is it's going to get more bizarre. A satanic pedophile freak artist is specifically dealing with schools in Ukraine. That's bizarre.
Well,
bizarre.
Marina Abramovich has already stated that she wants to rename all the schools to McMartin 1, McMartin 2, McMartin 3.
Oh, man. Dang. Yeah.
And she wants to make sure there's bomb shelters underneath all of them.
Yeah, she's going to have to. Wow. Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. We're seeing that fall apart. That's just, man.
Well, just in time, as the night market can no longer in Taiwan has to worry about rain as the rainy season is coming to a close. Instead of rain, they now need to worry about CCP missiles possibly striking them.
Yeah, China to kick off war over Taiwan at any moment was the headline. But Taiwan is sounding alarm bells over China's warplane drills. It's running a lot of drills. Taiwan fears things can get out of hand amid China's increased military drills. China, which claims Taiwan as its own, has been flying warplanes dangerously close to Taipei. Beijing recently flew a record 103 warplanes near the island nation. The increase in Chinese military drills has led to fears of possible accidental clash. Taiwan has flagged the abnormal Chinese movements around the island nation. China keeps the military drills up as Western nations, the U.S. in particular, have asked China to respect Taiwan's sovereignty. But China, however, remains defiant, with its vice president recently warning the West. The vice president said the West should not underestimate Beijing's will. And Beijing recently also warned the West not to play with fire over the Taiwan issue. But it just reminds me of Matthew 24, 6-8. It's God's promise, and this is a good promise. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of birth pains. So it's just, wars and rumors of wars. But there's a lot of wars and rumors of wars right now.
Absolutely. And that would explain why some of the pastors in Hawaii specifically are saying that tomorrow's the rapture. So we all get a free pass tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not going to work. Yeah, I know you guys covered that. I was going to cover JD Frog, and JD Frog. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Just had to bring that up because you brought up Matthew 24. Trusting the Lord, absolutely crucial, and being ready for His return, of course, is the joy of every true Christian.
Absolutely, but we got to realize that we're going to go through a lot of stuff up until, and I kind of got a little rant, and I just want to say the mass formation psychosis that our world is going through with regards to gender, family, climate, and nationalism will eventually bring about an enormous violent clash between the two opposite forces, and that is exactly the moment when a new world leader will be invited onto the scene. And he will be peaceful looking, yet totalitarian acting. A tired world will gladly embrace him. The world is nearly ready for it. We are on the fast track towards it. All it takes is one more pandemic or a major war combined with natural disaster on a scale unseen before. And it's coming. So you remember, our hope still remains in the one and the only one, the one and only who can bring peace that surpasses all understanding, joy unspeakable, and rest to our souls. The one and only way to God and His everlasting kingdom and His eternal dwelling place. And that one is our beloved Messiah, Jesus. And that's just stuff from my heart that I wanted to write down and just tell people, man, that we're getting close, guys. We're getting close.
Absolutely. And we have to continue in God's word, continue to trust in Him, and continue to have that relationship with God if we're going to get through the storm.
Yeah.
Talk about our next topic is about a story that's being buried across the world.
Mm-hmm.
That again fits right in with prophecy. We're seeing that, and yet the media will not even touch this story for anything.
No. Yeah, there's the worst global food crisis in modern history, and it's about to go to an entirely new level. Hundreds of millions of people are desperately hungry all over the world. We know that already. Many experts are actually admitting we're in the midst of the worst food crisis in modern history. But because of the mainstream media rarely features images of tremendous suffering or other sides on the other sides of the globe, most Americans don't even know that it's happening. Here in the Western world, the primary way that the global food crisis is manifesting is through significantly higher prices at the grocery store. We can see that with the inflation. The prices are certainly painful, but we can deal with that. But when you don't have enough food to feed your family on a consistent basis, that really is a nightmare scenario. So by 2022, approximately 735 million people, or 9.2% of the world's population, found themselves in a state of chronic hunger, a staggering rise compared to 2019. An estimated 2.4 billion people faced moderate to severe food insecurity in 2022. We have never seen numbers like this before. So India, which I use an example, is the world's largest exporter of rice. They have announced a ban on exporting non-basmati rice. India contributes about 40% of global rice exports. So here in the Western world, children are not starving. We should be thankful for that. But the lines at food banks are getting longer. The demands on the food banks is up 25 to 30% compared to June of 2022. So about a year ago. So I would say we are in a very early stages of a global food crisis. Researchers know this, but they are very quiet about it because they don't want to alarm the general population. But there will be no escape. Hundreds of millions will not have enough food to eat tonight, and it won't be long before the number exceeds 1 billion. So I've said you can invest in just a little storable food. I know it's kind of expensive, but little bits at a time if you can. I don't get anything for this recommendation. I just like the guy who owns it. He's a Christian, but the food is a 25-year shelf life, and it's called Heaven's Harvest, and it's heavensharvest.com is online, and they even have a blog on their website, and they talk about coping with long-term distresses or evacuation planning, how quickly to leave your home during an emergency. They talk about stuff like that. So it's a good website, but he's got, if you just buy little bits and little bits, that's what we did. We bought little bits and little bits. So
also, I'd just like to suggest this, with Moriel, we're really trying to push the idea of fellowships and home fellowship groups. Now, one of the things you can be doing with your home fellowship group is buying mason jars, pickling vegetables, growing gardens together. That is the safety net that believers have. When these times come, when it's going to be a day's wages for a loaf of bread, basically.
Yeah.
Go to your spiritual family, your fellow brothers and sisters in Christ.
And then we will be taking care of people. I know we'll be helping out people. So I've already planned on that. We have good Christians around us. We have the pastor of the Calvary Chapel, the former pastor of Calvary Chapel, lives right across the street from us. So, and it's a big Calvary out here. He was pastor there for 16, 17 years, something like that. So yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. All right. This next topic, I took the test, and I'm afraid that I'm not as good as everybody else. Constitutional confusion. You told me that most Americans cannot name the 5 guarantees of the First Amendment. I believe, Ken, that we can say that I at least got 3.
You got 3. You were good. I don't think I would have gotten the last one either, because I just forget that one. But a survey reveals Americans woefully uninformed about their own rights. Right, the Constitution was a collaborative effort undertaken by many of America's founding fathers. James Madison played a very crucial role drafting the supreme law of the land, and he's called the father of the Constitution. Can you imagine AOC or Ilhan Omar or any of the squad writing this? How about Pelosi or Hillary? You name it. But we're in such a judgment state right now. I can't. But I digress. I can't help but wonder what Madison would think about a result of a new survey by Annenberg Public Policy Center of the University of Pennsylvania. In short, the poll suggests the troubling number of Americans are incredibly uninformed when it comes to their own constitutional rights. Even worse, the poll also found a significant number of Americans can't even name the 3 branches of government. And that was easy: legislative, executive, judicial. That one was easy, right? I think I missed the one on the next question. What are the rights guaranteed by the First Amendment? And the 5 of them are religious freedom, number 1, free speech, number 2, a free press, number 3, the right to assemble, number 4, that's really important, and number 5, the right to petition our government for redress of grievances. So those are 5 good ones. Most Americans could only name one: the freedom of speech. That's what most Americans, 77%, that's it, and that's all they named. I remember training guys from England, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, Scotland, and they all knew more about the states than anybody else raised here. It was crazy. So the deliberate dumbing down of America is well into its purposeful intention. So, but we live at a time that a concerning number of our citizens cannot muster the knowledge needed to exercise their constitutional rights or make sense of the workings of our system of government. And that's a tough time. That's a tough time. Because it's something that our Constitution is something that's so rare.
And it's essential for society to last, to have laws that you hold your leaders accountable to.
Yeah.
The moment you have leaders that don't respect the Constitution, that's when you find yourself living in a prison state, which is where we're heading. We're heading to a hermit kingdom, North Korea style government in America.
Yeah. It's crazy to observe, but I think it's part of the judgment. I think it's God's judgment. Like Billy Graham said, a long time ago. What do you say? If God doesn't judge America, he offers Sodom and Gomorrah. He owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, we've come to the news blast section of our talk.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start doing 10 news blasts because it's just so much that there's a week. And so this is the stuff that the headlines, the media didn't tell you this week. Number 10, House Financial Services Committee banned the Federal Reserve from creating a central bank digital currency. That's interesting. I'll have to see that one. Number 9, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson secretly signs a $26 million contract to build camps for illegal migrants. Number 8, YouTube barred Russell Brand. I think you talked about that on Catching Up, on unfounded media allegations as UK government requests Rumble refuses to demonetize. So I put down, this is one of the most aggressive government-backed hit jobs ever. So number 7, Moderna and Pfizer stocks plummet as demand for COVID vaccine drops significantly. Number 6, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will run as an independent if the DNC keeps rigging the primary in favor of Joe Biden. So looks like we can see him running as an independent because they're going to keep rigging it. Number 5, former Secretary of State says that over 800,000 ballot applications were sent to non-qualified voters in Michigan in 2020. We'll see what that's, they're hiding that. Number 4, Texas Governor Greg Abbott officially declared an invasion at the border due to Biden's policies, deploys the Texas National Guard. Number 3, media downplays blatant murder of retired police officer, I don't know if anybody saw that, who was mowed down in Las Vegas, calling it a bike accident, quote unquote. Number 2, Elon Musk is suing the U.S. government after Biden demands SpaceX hire refugees and asylees, which violates the Constitution. And number 1, former Pfizer Vice President Mike Yeadon says the mRNA COVID vaccines were designed to injure and kill. And a bonus. Here's a bonus one that I put down. Biden Department of Defense exempts all Ukraine funding from being impacted by the looming government shutdown. So don't worry, Ukraine. If the government shuts down, you still get paid. So.
Oh, I see. So the government workers don't get paid.
No government workers get paid. No,
but the Ukrainians don't have to worry. The flow of worthless peso money is going to still come over.
Yep.
The monopoly money is still going to be printing and rolling out.
It's still rolling out.
All right. Final topic today. Scientific American.
Yes.
The venerated magazine and institution that holds up why America is number one because of science.
Yeah. And so Scientific American. So this is one last headline. I had to laugh because I don't hang out with anybody and I got sick. So I truly believe, and this is me, I believe the lines in the sky. I believe because the last year, same thing. We went to Grand Canyon and I mentioned this in the pre-show and both of us got sick and we didn't hang out with anybody and they were spraying the sky. So, and they talk about it. They talk about spraying. Ken Caldera, a whole bunch of military guys talk about the sprays that have pathogens in them. But the Scientific American finally says it's time to engineer the sky. So they've been doing it for 70 years, but global warming is so rampant that some scientists say we should begin altering the stratosphere to block incoming sunlight, even if it jeopardizes rain and crops. So this headline, you can find it online, but it comes out October 1st, and it's not in the newsstands yet. But one more headline: solar geoengineering means game over for life on Earth, critics warn. So those are the two. These are two. I follow everything. It's basically Dane Wigington that has these articles and stuff, and he's a good website at geoengineeringwatch.org. So if you want to if you look up and you see lines in the sky and they're staying there and they're becoming clouds, that stuff could be toxic. I'm serious. It is toxic. So not conspiracy.
No,
not conspiracy. It's just happening. It's happening, guys. They've done it for 70 years. You can go through it. You can go through I've talked about it so much. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Those are just two headlines. I just thought it's funny that one Scientific American, it's time to engineer the sky. It's like, you already been doing it, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, forget crops, forget the rain, forget sunlight, vitamin D, which helps the immune system. Forget all that stuff.
Rain and crops. Oh my gosh.
Well, that concludes our show. So Ken, why don't you give some encouragement?
All right.
To the people.
All right, people. Listen up. All right. You need to read God's word. You need to be in God's word. You need to fellowship with his community. You need to pray. You need to be part of a fellowship. You need to read his word. It's why Jay and I can laugh at this stuff, because this shell, this heart attack, quadruple bypass, 2 hip replacements, knee replacement, almost dying, 20 times, this body's gone, but I'm here for a reason. So I can't tell you guys enough, man. Yeah, encourage you. Just be laughing at stuff. Just shake your head at it. I laugh at stuff. Jay laughs at stuff. We have a good time. But it's serious. It's serious to survive. If God's put that on your heart. The 7-year famine in that Joseph went through, they survived. There's people that survived. So if that's part of it, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So I just want to let you know that that's it. Be in God's word. Just fellowship with people and pray. That's it.
Thank you, Ken. And once again, I just want to thank you all for coming and tuning in for another episode of Ken's Corner. Leave some comments, leave some questions. We'll be happy to answer some. Until we see you next time, this concludes our broadcast.